I continuously uh, went deeper into observing my mind and gradually became more aware of the type of thoughts that I had. It wasn't long before I realized, oh, something unconscious or something negative happens. I don't necessarily have to think the same thoughts I've been thinking for years. I can see that thought. I can reconstruct it. It's wonderful once you deeply are willing to and wanting to be free from that mental trap. It doesn't really take time. It only takes time until you realize that it doesn't take time. You can be at ease here and now. Hello there. Again. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your presence. I had a request here to speak a little bit more about my journey to conscious awakening, or recognizing that we as a whole should be observing our thinking. So the younger years were quite normal, if we can call that normal. The fluctuation of impatience, negativity, anger, sadness, that was all there. It wasn't until about, let's say, 27, 28, when I realized that I have just been pulled along by my stream of thinking. I hadn't saw this. It wasn't, like for most people, it wasn't very clear to see that there's conditioned thinking that you're taught, and then you begin to continuously get pulled along by that thinking. And there's never really any ease in life. So I began doing research. I think I came upon on here some spiritual teachers, or whatever we call it, who spoke a little bit about observing one's thinking and reconstructing how you think, because you have to use your thinking, of course. So here we're not talking about not thinking in the sense of not using your mind, but observing the way the mind thinks. You can also reconstruct the way you think about certain things and use that awareness to bring more conscious thoughts. Conscious thought meaning that the thought that you think, you're aware of it. So I continuously went deeper into observing my mind and gradually became more aware of the type of thoughts that I had. It wasn't long before I realized, oh, something unconscious or something negative happens. I don't necessarily have to think the same thoughts I've been thinking for years. I can see that thought. I can reconstruct it, meaning that it could be more of a pleasant thought or a neutral thought. I know we've probably watched that video. I talked about neutral thinking, where it's not positive or it's not negative. It's just neutral. So I continued on researching, getting more into spiritual awakening, as far as waking out of the mental trap that most of us are in, where everything seems to be fast paced, aggressive. You need to get to the next thing. You need to get to the next thing. In that way of thinking, there is no ease. You always want to get to the next thing. So how could you be at ease? So then I began using my body to stay aligned with that presence of conscious awareness, or observative thinking, let's call it. So if you look closely at and observe people, that's a wonderful thing, because if you can see it in other people, then you may be able to see it in yourself. You see people doing things where you can see that there's no ease. They want everything to hurry up. So, for example, you're in the supermarket and there's a long line, and you can see, or you can sense that you want this to be done. What I would do is bring my attention from that thought of wanting this to be done, bring my attention into my body. And I would just, it looked on the outside as I'm just standing there looking around. But inwardly, I would have my attention on my breathing, my attention on how I'm moving my body. If I could absolutely just stand there still without looking funny or crazy, then I would do that, because most people, they have the knee going, they have the hands twiddling, because they're looking to get to the next thing. That's that mental trap that it's a continuous cycle. Everything you do wants to be done. So there's really no deep appreciation of what you're doing. It's wanting it to be done. So I would appreciate, not necessarily something in particular. I would just stand there and have a sense of appreciation. Yes, I will still notice the mind wants to continue, and I will watch that and continue keeping my attention in the body. Because also you can observe that the way you move your body determines your state of consciousness. If you move your body very fast all the time, then that represents a reactive mind, a mind that never stops. I'm not saying that you can't move fast. With kids, my own child, playing, moving fast, but at the same time, that awareness of being is there still while doing the fast paced movement. I remember there would be things that happened, and my mind would continuously say negative things about it, and then I would feel negative, and then it would increase, and then there would be anger, and you can even lash out at someone. It's quite insane. So you recognize that peace that's always there within you is there in the supermarket, at the lineup in traffic. And as I gradually continued recognizing when the mind would start up with reactivity, negativity, stress, which comes from negativity, I would step out of that way of thinking, shift my attention into the inner aliveness of what I am, and learn to stay there. Because I've even met people talking to me here that said, yes, I can sense that I can shift my attention out of my thinking and I can become deeply rooted in presence. But soon as I have to do something, or someone knocks on the door, or something unexpected happens, it's gone. So recognizing that later on, it maybe been a couple years since I've was practicing presence, I noticed that, okay, you have to go deeper, because that same thing would happen to me at that time. Unexpected, like for example now, if someone knocked on the door, will I be reactive, lose space, lose presence? Well, at this point I have practiced going much deeper. So let's say, for example, the knock happens, do. That attention goes into the body, using the breathing as an anchor. Move my body consciously. Therefore, I stay in the frequency of conscious awareness or presence, and gently get up and answer the door. It's wonderful once you deeply are willing to and wanting to be free from that mental trap. It doesn't really take time. It only takes time until you realize that it doesn't take time. You can be at ease here and now. So, once recognizing this, going as deep as possible with holding the frequency, because holding presence is what needs to be mostly paid attention to. Because yes, for a second you can sit somewhere under a tree outside or yoga class or whatever it may be and be at ease. But what about when you walk out or you get up? Or what about during the meditation something happens? Can you still be at ease? Genuinely. Not the superficial, oh, it's okay, still having a mental trap that's telling you that this is okay. No, it's not okay. The person came in with a knife. So it's not getting lost in positive thinking. It's not getting lost in negative thinking. It's just presence here and now. And whatever action you have to do out of that state of presence would ultimately be right. You don't need positive or negative thinking. Really, it's just neutral thinking. That's why I made that video. Positive thinking isn't enough. You need to be able to hold the state of presence with everything you do. Thank you for joining me.